Warning: mature content. The following stream contains content that may not be suitable for all audiences, including mature themes, strong language, and potentially sensitive material. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, J-Bone Nation! Shaming of Jay. He's not a dopey dumb bitch. He gets laid. The court jester, the court DJ. It's time to dive into the case. To the case.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the second edition of watching Charlie Adelson trial rewatch. So we can do a little prep to get ready for Donna Adelson's trial, which is jury selection is about a month and 2 days. If you weren't here this morning, I'm on location at my mom's house, at my parents' house for her birthday. That's why this looks a little different. I feel like my hat is off. So tonight we are going to watch the defense's opening. For those folks who followed this trial, I don't think we were all ready for what he was about to say happened. and this is going to be an hour tonight, and his opening is about an hour. So let's get to it. Dan Rauschbaum, the defense's opening for Charlie Adelson. Here we go. Thank you, Maya.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Good morning. I didn't get to talk to you that much the last couple of days. My name is Dan Rauschbaum, and with me is Kate Myers, and we represent Charlie Adelson. Now let me start by saying the obvious. The murder of Professor Markel was a tragedy. The world lost a brilliant legal mind. His family lost a son and a brother. This community lost its sense of security and lost a good citizen.
Yes, believe it or not, this gentleman right here, Dan Rauschbaum, was not only Charlie's lawyer, but now he's going to be Donna's lawyer, if you can wrap your head around this. He's going to probably do the same opening.
And his two boys, the nephews of Charlie Adelson, lost a loving father. His senseless murder continues to be felt throughout this community and others. It was inexcusable, despicable, evil. But what I'm going to tell you today is what actually happened. You will see that Charlie Adelson had nothing to do with the murder of Professor Markel. You will see that the state cannot come close to meeting its burden. Why? Because Charlie Adelson is innocent.
I think I'm going to put Rashi on a 1.25 here.
Now, I don't have to prove innocence. But what I'm telling you, I very rarely say in a courtroom as a defense lawyer. Charlie Adelson is innocent. And we'll get there. But the next thing I'm going to tell you, I also rarely say in a courtroom. And you may be surprised to hear this from a defense lawyer. I have great respect for the prosecutors and law enforcement on this case. I have admiration for their efforts after the murder of Professor Markel in trying to find out who did it. You will see that they spent countless man-hours, cell phone tower dumps, surveillance videos from a boatload of places, buses, cameras on the street. Great law enforcement activity. And it paid off. They got the 3 killers. They convicted them. Sigfredo Garcia, convicted for life. Luis Rivera, Katherine Magbanua, convicted for life. Problem is, as you just heard, the state saw no connection between these people and Professor Markel. So from the very outset, the state suspected the Adelsons, the family. You saw the chart. It wasn't limited to Charlie Adelson. Unindicted co-conspirators in this case, the state has said it. Wendy.
I mean, I said in the opening for the prosecution that they have some of the best visuals that I've ever seen in a trial. Look at this piece of shit that the defense uses. I mean, it's night and day. What a joke.
Adelson, Donna Adelson, Harvey Adelson. The state knew, as you heard, that Wendy Adelson and Professor Markel had gone through a brutal divorce. And you're going to see it. But they couldn't find the connection. But then they had their aha moment. As you heard, they determined that at the time of the murder in 2014, Charlie Adelson was dating Katherine Magbanua. And they learned that Katherine Magbanua had a previous relationship, on again, off again, with Sigfredo Garcia. They learned that Sigfredo Garcia and Katherine Magbanua shared 2 children together. They had their connection. The problem is, that's where the state began to guess, began to make assumptions. And you will see, we will show it, that those assumptions didn't make sense. Now, I love jigsaw puzzles. I love
Here we go with the fucking jigsaw puzzle. Oh, he's so dumb.
them since I'm young. The reason why I love them is because they only work if every piece fits. No matter what you do with the jigsaw puzzle, if a piece doesn't fit, it becomes a mess. You can't hammer it, and you can't ignore it. Because if you ignore it, you have holes in the puzzle. What you're going to see is, with regards to this case, that's exactly what the state tried to do. They heard things, they saw things, but there were problems. They couldn't fit all the pieces together under their theories that they told you about today. I'm going to show you how those puzzles, those pieces, they didn't fit. They don't fit. And why? Respectfully, the state does not know what happened on July 18th, 2014. On that
Yeah, I have him on 1.25, Gene, because I don't know if I can take him at regular speed.
day, 2 crimes occurred. The first one, the state knows about, and that was the brutal, heinous murder of Professor Markel. The other one, they don't know about. They're about to find out like you. Because that day would forever change Charlie Adelson's life. But before we get there, I like cliffhangers. It's important to give you some background and timeline of the events. Charlie Adelson is 46 years old, single with a young son. He grew up in South Florida.
By the way, once this is over, I'm going to send you right into Publicly Buzzed. Steve is doing a live on Sarah Bone's hearing today. So if you missed that, you're going to definitely want to check it out at 9 and 1 hour.
Florida, in Coral Springs in Broward County. His father was a dentist, a local dentist. It wasn't the Adelson Institute when Charlie was growing up. It was a small dental practice with his dad. Charlie is the middle child of 3. He is very close with his parents. As they said, he is very close with his mom. Growing up, the family was middle class. And Charlie was not particularly close with either of his siblings. He grew closer with Wendy as they got older. He went to college at the University of Central Florida, went to dental school in South Florida, and then periodontic school. When he graduated as a periodontist, he had an idea. Rather than work in his own practice, he figured that he could travel around to dental practices all over South Florida. He would be a traveling periodontist. So what you are going to learn in this case is that Charlie Adelson had practices from the very south of South Florida to as far places as Jupiter. He's in the car sometimes for hours in a day. And he worked a lot. You're going to see that. He was a workaholic. He spent a lot of time in that car. And what did he do when he was in the car to pass the time? He spoke a lot on the phone. He would talk to whoever would listen to him. And you're going to see in this case, this is one thing we won't.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Deny. Charlie Adelson likes to talk. And he likes to repeat himself. And who would he speak with the most? He'd speak with his girlfriend. He'd speak with his mom. He'd speak with his friends. Now, Wendy Adelson, who's a state witness, followed a different path. She went to a prestigious university in Boston. She then went to school in England on a Truman Fellowship, and later went to law school. She got scholarships for law school and college. Soon after starting law school, she met Dan Markel, and they fell in love. They got married. They ultimately moved to Tallahassee, where they both worked for FSU. Professor Markel as a law professor of the law school. Charlie Adelson didn't have much to do with either Professor Markel or Wendy during their marriage or before their marriage. He would talk to his sister periodically, maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. They lived in Tallahassee for years. Charlie Adelson visited him in Tallahassee 2, maybe 3 times. Charlie loved his sister. He sought advice from her, as she did with him every once in a while. But they weren't super close. They were brother-sister. The truth is that Charlie Adelson was a little self-centered. He was building his career. See, that traveling...
The truth is, my client is a massive douche canoe.
Periodontist, in the beginning, it wasn't that successful. But by the time of this case, in the 2013-2014 time period, you're going to see that Charlie Adelson was making a lot of money. His practice was booming. he was working 6, sometimes 7 days a week. You'll see it on the wires. You'll see it in text messages. He would start his day early in the morning, and most days he wouldn't get home till 8, 9, 10 at night. At the time when this murder occurred, he was not married. He had no kids. He had a lot of money. And he was living a very good life. Now, in 2012, Wendy Adelson, on a trip down to South Florida, confides in her brother that she was having problems in her marriage. She told Charlie that she and Professor Markel had been going through marriage counseling. She asked him what he thought. He said, look, I want you to be happy, but you have to do what's best for you. I'm here to listen. Charlie had no involvement whatsoever in Wendy's decision to divorce Professor Markel.
The amazing KTG with a $20 cash app. Thank you so much, KTG.
You'll hear that. And in September of 2012, Wendy filed for divorce. And you're going to hear about how she filed for the divorce, and you're going to learn that Charlie had no involvement in her leaving the house. Had nothing to do with him. But we got to talk about TVs. And you're going to hear a lot about TVs in this case. Excuse me. See, Charlie has a really bad history of telling bad jokes. So when Wendy left the house, his mom told him that she didn't have a TV. He asked her, he said, what can I do to help Wendy? She's moved to a new place. She's left most of the stuff behind. What can I do to help? And his mom said, she doesn't have a TV. He said, okay, when you go to Tallahassee, go to Best Buy, buy a TV for Wendy, and I'll pay you for it. And so Wendy got the TV, and she called Charlie. This is back in 2012. The murder's in 2014. And she thanked him for the TV, and he didn't say he looked into hiring a hitman. He joked, a bad joke, and he said it was cheaper than hiring a hitman. Now, not only was it a bad joke, but you're going to hear in this trial, Charlie repeated the joke. He repeated it a lot, to a lot of people. You're going to hear that he repeated it as late as March of 2014. So the man that they think hired a hitman is joking to others about hiring a hitman. Puzzle.
I mean, seriously, guys, look at this piece of shit visual. Like, what is this? You think the jury is looking at this and like, oh, okay, what a piece of crap.
To others about hiring a hitman. Puzzle pieces. And you're going to learn why his...
Oh shit, Maya, she is so awesome. Gifting out 5 memberships. Maya is always so supportive. Thank you so much.
Repeating of that joke is going to be so important. I'm going to tell you in a little bit. Keep in the back of your mind. But let's first go back to the divorce. The divorce was bitter. It was emotional. Wendy Adelson and Professor Markel, they'd have good times. But when things were bad, they would fight about everything. And in January 2013, Wendy Adelson filed a motion to relocate to South Florida with her 2 boys. That motion was opposed by Professor Markel. Now, what you're going to learn in this trial is that Wendy Adelson never thought that motion would be granted. Her lawyer told her that motion would never be granted.
I hate when they say that. It's such a horseshit thing. So you're telling me as a lawyer you're gonna file and pay for this motion that you just know is gonna lose. You just know it, but you just file it for shits and gigs. Get out of here.
But she said, let's give it a shot. Charlie had very little to do with the motion. He knew she was filing it. He knew she didn't have much chance of getting it. And the motion was denied. And when it was denied, it didn't change Charlie Adelson's life one bit. But unlike Charlie, his mom and dad were upset. They were upset because their daughter had a job opportunity in South Florida. She had no family support in Tallahassee, and they wanted her home. And you will see that Donna and Harvey Adelson are very involved in their children's lives. We won't run away from that. You will see that Donna Adelson and Harvey came up with a lot of crazy ideas. I mean crazy ideas. You're going to see them. You've heard about some of them. When they show you those crazy ideas, take a look if any of them includes murder. Doesn't. Take a look at any of those crazy ideas include anything illegal. It doesn't. Take a look at if they're actually then go to lawyers to make sure that their ideas are legal. Murderers. You heard it. Unindicted co-conspirators going to lawyers to make sure that what they're offering is allowed. You're going to see that. But the ideas were crazy. You're going to read the emails, a lot of emotion. A mother-in-law, a grandmother with a lot of emotion. And you're going to see that Wendy Adelson, she rejected them. She rejected the ideas. They were never presented to Dan Markel. And then you're going to see that there was another idea. They have mentioned it in their opening, but they don't understand the importance of it. See, at one point in time, Donna Adelson and Harvey Adelson came with an idea to pay Professor Markel $1 million to allow their daughter to relocate. And they went to
$1 million. Can you imagine that? Auntie Lisa, 5 coffees. Thanks for the rewatches. Thank you so much, Auntie Lisa.
Charlie, who frankly by this point in time had more money than them. And they said, will you lend your sister $350,000? She'll pay you back or we'll pay you back. And he said, sure. And you're going to see that they presented this idea to Wendy Adelson. And the idea wasn't to take the boys out of Professor Markel's life. The idea was that with the $1 million, if Professor Markel agreed, he could live in South Florida and commute back and forth to Tallahassee. He could work out his schedule. He didn't teach every day of the week. He could work out his schedule so that he could still teach at the university and go back and forth. You're going to see that Wendy Adelson never made that offer. But it's very important. Like the joke, I want you to put it in your back of your mind for now. Let's fast forward to October 2013. October 2013, Charlie started dating Katherine Magbanua. We'll call her Katie. She was beautiful. She was smart. Like Charlie, she graduated from UCF. She was hardworking. He met her in one of the dental practices. At first, the relationship was casual. They wanted it that way. Charlie particularly liked it, and liked Katie, because she had 2 children. He worked a lot. His priority was his job. And Katie didn't bother him a lot. He only saw her like once, maybe twice a week. That's what he liked. And she was smart, She was fun. And he treated her very well. And that was very different, you'll learn, from how she was treated previously. Now, you'll hear that he spent a lot of time with Katie over the months that they dated. And remember how I told you Charlie talks a lot and repeats himself a lot? Well, when they were together, he did just that. He talked about his day. He talked about what was going on in the world. He talked about his family, which, by the way, was a constant topic every single day. Because when Charlie's driving in the car every morning for an hour to work and an hour home, sometimes longer, he talked to his mom on the phone. And when he talked to his mom on the phone, what would be a topic of heavy conversation quite frequently? Wendy's divorce. All the problems in the divorce. They told you that. They told you that in opening. And what would Charlie do?
Imagine that. Charlie's successful. He's doing great. As he just said, oh, he's making all this money, doing awesome. And all Donna wants to talk about with him is Wendy's divorce.
He would tell these things to his girlfriend. And what were some of the things he told her? Well, he told her about the $1 million offer. He told her that he could pay it in cash. She said, that's a lot of money. He said, no, I have it in cash. And I'm going to get it back. He told her several times the joke. Over time, you're going to see, through text messages, that Katie wanted a deeper relationship. And you'll see that Charlie didn't want that. You'll also learn, and the timeline is important, they meet in September, they start dating in October of 13. You're going to see that over time, it takes a couple months, Charlie starts to learn a little bit more about Katie's ex, Sigfredo Garcia.
Wow, I just got a $40 Venmo from Rhonda M. And it says, will this shut Rashi up? Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much, Rhonda.
And what you're going to learn is that Charlie Adelson never meets Sigfredo Garcia officially, but by all counts, he was not a good guy. Violent, long criminal history. Sigfredo Garcia and Katie had been high school boyfriend, girlfriend. And Katie was the love of Sigfredo's life. He lived for her. And you're going to see that Sigfredo Garcia hated Charlie Adelson. Puzzle pieces. So let me repeat it. You saw their chart. The shooter of Professor Markel, the man who murdered him, hated Charlie Adelson, according to them, his co-conspirator. And you're going to hear, not from our witnesses, from their own witnesses, that he wanted to kill Charlie Adelson. You're going to hear that in March of 2014, just 7 or 8 weeks before that first attempt of murder that they talk about, he tried to kill him. Puzzle pieces. You're also going to hear about a phone call on July 1, 2014. You're going to actually hear that July 1, 2014 call is how they found these guys. It's actually the craziest fact in this entire case, and there's a lot of crazy facts. You're going to hear that on July 1, 2014, Sigfredo Garcia made a call to the cell phone number of Harvey Adelson. It's the only call that helped investigators connect these folks to the Adelsons in the beginning. It actually broke the case. What they don't know, what you're going to see, it's in text messages. It's discussed on the wires. They don't know it because they don't understand it because they weren't there. is that on July 1st, 2014, just 3 weeks or so after the first murder attempt, and by the way, just 17 days before the murder. Let me repeat that. The murder happens on July 18, 2014. On July 1st, 2014, Sigfredo Garcia tries to run Charlie off the road. He threatens him.
You hear that? He threatened him. He threatened him. He threatened him. My man can't say threatened. Threatened.
And what you're going to hear is that on July 1, he's so upset.
Oh, Miss Blue's bus just bought me 10 coffees. Thank you so much, Ms. Blue Bus.
That he calls the Adelson Institute. He doesn't realize that Charlie isn't the doctor at the Adelson Institute. He just comes in and out of the place. So he gets their voicemail machine, and you know how dentists are? They say in an emergency, call a cell phone number, they take your call at home on the cell phone number. Well, he hears in an emergency, call Dr. Adelson at such and such number. He thinks he's calling Charlie Adelson, but he calls Harvey Adelson. And he calls him, and he threatens him. He tells him, if you keep dating Katie, we're going to go mano y mano. I'm going to kill you. 17 days before, according to them, he conspired with this man to kill Professor Markel. Puzzle pieces. What you're going to learn is that in the spring of 2014, it became apparent to Katie that her dreams of financial security with Charlie were not going to work out. You will learn that Katie heard the hitman joke. You will learn that she heard the $1 million offer and she got some ideas in her head. The state itself has called Katherine Magbanua the mastermind. And that's exactly what she was. So now, let's get to July 18th. I kept you waiting long enough. The June attempt didn't happen because Rivera didn't want to kill Dan Markel when his boys were around. See, what you're going to learn is during that June attempt, on June 4th, 5th, Professor Markel had custody of the boys. You're going to learn that Professor Markel and Wendy Adelson shared custody 50-50. But you're going to learn that the state thinks Wendy Adelson was involved with her brother in a murder for hire, and she chose for the killers to kill her.
Look at Blinky McStupid and his stupid blinking with his dumb face.
Ex-husband when he had custody of her kids. Puzzle pieces. So you're going to learn that Luis Rivera, who is a bad guy, he had some conscience somewhere and he didn't want to do it in front of the kids. So they came back. By the way, on July 18th, who had custody of the kids when the murder actually happened? Professor Markel. You're going to hear he dropped him off at school. But this family who did this so that their grandchildren could be with them were going to risk for 2 hired hitmen to go up when he had custody of the kids. Puzzle pieces. July 18th for Charlie starts as a normal day. He works. You're going to see he lives in Fort Lauderdale. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with South Florida, so I'm going to give you a little bit of geography lesson. He lives in Fort Lauderdale. That day he's working in 2 offices, because he'd often work in 2 offices a day. He'd work in the morning at one place and the afternoon at another. So he's working in 2 offices. The first office he's working in, both of them actually, are in Jupiter, Florida. Now, if you're familiar with South Florida, Fort Lauderdale and Jupiter are not close. With South Florida traffic, in the morning, he was in the car for at least 2 hours. Now, he came home late that night, you're going to hear, so traffic was a little bit better, but it's probably still an hour to an hour and a half. Jupiter is north of Palm Beach. When I drive up here and I hit Jupiter, I know I'm about a third of the way here. That's a good way to look at it. If you live in Fort Lauderdale, when you hit Jupiter, you're 1/3 done. He's in the car, and he's talking on the phone. And you're going to see it. We're going to show you what the phone calls are about. He talks to his sister, talks to his mom, talks to his girlfriend. We'll talk to you about it. There are phone calls. You're going to see it. There are a lot of phone calls. And there are a lot of phone calls to his girlfriend. And there are a lot of phone calls to his mom. We're not going to deny that. And he works in these two offices. And at around 6 o'clock, you'll see a text message that he's about to start a very long surgery, a big procedure. By the way, the text messages throughout the day are normal. Just after 7 p.m., he gets a call from his mom. And he's told that Professor Markel has been shot. And he's shocked. He's upset. His first reaction is, Wendy and the boys okay? He's supposed to have dinner originally with a friend that night. But earlier in the day, that changes, and he's supposed to have dinner with Katie. And you're going to hear that Katie and him had gotten in a fight a couple days earlier about dinners. You'll hear it. And what you'll learn is after he finds out what happened, tells Katie he doesn't want to go to dinner. He leaves the office at around 8 o'clock in Jupiter. And you'll learn that Katie tells him she'll come to his house that night to comfort him. He shook up. Now, let me be clear. You're going to hear he wasn't close with Professor Markel. They weren't friends. They had nothing in common. But he shook up because someone he knew, the father of his nephews, had been shot. When Katie arrived that night, and you're going to learn more details of how she gets there, what she has to do to get there. It's not planned. You're going to see that. The state's going to put on that evidence. You're going to learn that she's scrambling to get a babysitter. You're going to learn, by the way, that Charlie had seen her for lunch the day before. So if it's a murder for hire, why didn't she get the money then? Puzzle pieces. But you're going to learn that she gets there that night, sometime after 11. And when she gets there, she is frantic. She's upset. And he's scared because he's never seen her this way. And she sits him down, and she tells him something terrible has happened. She says that a friend of hers had shot Professor Markel. She tells him over and over that she had nothing to do with it. But these people, she was talking too much. And her friend and these people learn about the problems that his family was having with Professor Markel. They learned about the $1 million offer. And they got it in their minds to do this. As you can imagine, his life has just forever been altered. He asks, who are these people? She won't tell him. It's not safe for you to know. Screaming at her, she won't tell him. Charlie had a guess. You will hear in detail what happened that night. You will learn that Charlie Adelson was told if he didn't pay within the next 48 hours, he or one of his family members would be next. You will learn that Katie repeatedly said that she had nothing to do with it and acted distraught. You will hear how she said that she would help him.
You will hear how she came in, said that her, ex was going to kill one of his family members, and then they had a little snoozle together. And then they slept in the same bed, because that makes sense.
You will learn about the initial payment. It wasn't $100,000. It was more than $100,000. Took out everything he had in his safe. You're going to learn about that. The state doesn't know it. It was more money. But you're going to learn he didn't have $333,000. So he had to pay every month. They don't know about that either. Payments every month. Does that sound like a murder for hire? Or does that sound like extortion? You're going to hear about these gifts. And you're going to learn that the gifts were just that. They were gifts. Because as time went on, he became more and more certain that Katie was not involved. He became more and more certain that she was helping him. And he wanted to keep her happy too because he needed her. He needed her help. And you will hear that the payments changed a couple months after the night of the extortion. 2 crimes. You'll hear that the payments changed and that Katie was put on the books of the Adelson Institute. Paper trail. They created a paper trail. Puzzles don't fit. Pieces of the puzzle don't fit. And you'll hear that in order to put her on the books, despite Katie telling him the night of July 18th, you can never talk about this with anyone. You can never talk on the phone about this. You can never talk about it in public. You can never talk about it anywhere, because if they find out, they will kill you and your family. If they think the police are coming to you to talk to you, they will kill you. Look at what they did to Professor Markel. But you will hear that he told someone. He had to. He told his mom. You'll learn that she was the bookkeeper for the Dental Institute. You'll learn why he had to tell her. You'll learn about those checks. They've never been able to understand. Why are they so sequential? Why are they back and forth? You'll learn why. They talk about the bump in 2016. What I like to call is the second extortion. What they don't realize is that their undercover operation was an extortion on an extortion. They don't know it. It's not their fault. And we're going to go through the wires with you. We're going to go through Dolce Vita with you. And we're going to show you how they actually prove his innocence. We're going to show you how they are talking carefully. They're talking to him. He's talking about an extortion. They're happy if this bump is the police, because if it's the police, none of them are going to get killed. If it's a bad guy, they're in danger. If you do a murder with someone, the last person in the world you want this bump to be is the police. Because it means they're onto you. Puzzle pieces. Not from the first layer, she says, but from the second layer. I got goosebumps when she said it. It's one of my favorite lines in the recording. Not from the first layer, the first extortion, but from the second layer.
One of my favorite lines from the recording. I mean, what kind of statement is that? One of my favorite lines?
20 months later is the bump. That's the second layer to Charlie Adelson at that point in time. You will also see, and what's going to be weird about this case, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to start to see it today, much of their case, I agree about. They're going to put witnesses up there. I'm not going to ask them one question. Some of their evidence is exactly the truth. It just doesn't prove a murder. The stapled money, it's his money. You will also see that Sigfredo Garcia was arrested on May 25, 2016. You will see that Luis Rivera was arrested on June 2nd, 2016. You will see that Katherine Magbanua was arrested on October 1, 2016. Guess who wasn't arrested? Charlie Adelson. He wasn't arrested for 6 more years. And what you're going to see...
Oh, shizzle. Thank you so much, Lakeside Lawyer, for the $10 super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Is that they had the exact same evidence in 2016 against Charlie Adelson that they do today. The same liars. They talk about an enhanced Dolce Vita recording. You're going to get both recordings. You determine if you can hear anything better. See, the state's case against Charlie Adelson is a case of assumptions. It's a case of guesses. It was not brought until weeks before Katie Magbanua's trial. You can ask yourself why. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for your attention. I want to ask for your patience in this case. A man's life is in your hands. He's innocent. Send him home. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Attorney's going to start.
Cassandra, another super chat. Thank you so much. So yeah, that is the that is Rauschbaum's open. Can you guys believe that's Rauschbaum? That's his dumb opening. And I'm gonna go back again, just to the only visual they use during this opening that he keeps going to is this piece of crap. I mean, look at this thing. Like it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like this one just says Yardbird Diner. Like there's like a jury is supposed to know Yardbird Diner. And then like look at this crap. The bump. He keeps referring to it as if anyone on that jury is like, oh, okay, this is what you're saying is adding up to me because of this piece of crap that's like the worst thing. Like look at the like it doesn't even it's such garbage. Oh, I just can't with just what it so this attorney who did this crappy job in this opening is now Donna's attorney. Do you think they're probably gonna use this visual again? I mean, I bet you they do. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. I don't even know. Well, all right. So I think what I'm going to do is thank you guys. We've done with the rewatch, the prosecution's opening, and the defense's opening. I think this weekend, I think Sunday, I'm tentatively thinking Sunday at around 3 Eastern, I'm going to do the next part of the next episode or the next stream where I do a rewatch. Again, I just want to say, if there's anyone in the chat who is new to this case and knows nothing, please ask questions. A lot of people in here do know about it, so if you have questions, we would love to hear them. I would love to hear them. I'm doing this rewatch as a refresher for people who know the case, but I know there are some people who are new to this case, so please, if you have any questions, let them go. Good question, Kitty C. Kitty C says, why use the same lawyer? And I've asked a bunch of people this. I've asked Katie Bogenschutz, who's awesome, and she made a great point. She's like, sometimes, lawyers have clients and they build a rapport. He build a rapport with Donna. He build a rapport in Charlie. Somehow they think he's doing a good job, and they don't want to give it to someone else who knows nothing about it even though common sense it would probably make sense to get a lawyer who didn't already get a loss on the same exact case. But Donna likes him. She probably chews his ear off when they talk, just like Charlie probably chewed his ear off when they talked. I mean, um, can you imagine having to deal with Charlie in your ear for however many years, and now having to deal with um, Donna in your ear? I mean, Rashbaum's not getting paid enough, but maybe he is. Um, yeah, Kai, like you see, yeah, he knows. He knows the case. He knows how guilty they are. He knows they've been found guilty, but he knows the details, kind of. I mean, he obviously tries to spin them in a way that's incorrect. And a jury came back in like 2 hours, uh, 2 hours with like a lunch. I know, Kitty. I'm just trying to. I don't know why they did it. I'm just trying to give you rationalize what Don is thinking. I don't know. But guys, some things to think about, and I keep thinking about this. Is Harvey going to be in the audience of this trial, or is he not going to be there at all? I mean, I certainly think that Wendy is only going to testify, and then she'll get the hell out of there, just like she did at every trial, even though it's her mom. I mean, it was her brother, and she didn't stay. But is Harvey going to just sit out this trial and not be there? That would be wild to me. Her husband just not being there for her trial. I mean, if only not just to see her for like the last times before she goes to jail forever. I mean, what do you guys think? You think Harv is not going to be there for the trial? What do you guys think? He's just going to miss it? Will they call him to testify? That's a great question, Ken. The defense? I mean, the state's not going to call him, but the defense? Will they call? I mean, this is another question. Will they call Rob Adelson to like, he's a witness. Will they call him just to like talk about what it's like to deal with Donna? Do they need to? Um, Lakeside Lawyer says, I bet Harvey is there. It is their brand to have a lifelong marriage, and their shared email accounts. Um, Madeline says, I think for looks he needs to be there, but I don't think he will. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking he won't, but I kind of think he has to, but I don't know. I mean, it's such a and guys, there's going to be new evidence as we've seen there is new evidence. So there is going to be stuff that we have not seen before. I mean, we're starting to see it get dropped in the in the court filings, Donna's ledger and all that stuff. But the state is going to be presenting that, and maybe they have stuff. You know, it's going to be interesting. They have new information that's just like for folks who don't know. The first time we kind of heard about this being a birthday gift for Harvey was during Charlie's trial. That didn't come up in the first two trials. So there's going to be new stuff potentially about Wendy, and there's certainly going to be new stuff coming up about Donna. I mean, we're going to hear her jail calls. Can you imagine the day when they play Donna's jail calls for the jury? And then Donna, she's going to testify. I very think she's going to testify. Um, yeah, good point. The Vietnam trip, he was there. You can't do this. How's Harvey going to get home? Could someone get him an Uber? How's Harv going to get? You can't do this. He's too. You can't do this. How is he going to get home? He was able to flee the country with me, but I don't know how he'll get home. Um, there's just a lot. It's not. It's going to be similar to this trial, but there's definitely going to be a lot of new stuff, and it's going to be so interesting to see. And for folks who don't know, today is August 15th, my mom's birthday. Jury selection for Donna, September 17th. So it's like a month and 2 days. And then it'll probably be 2 to 3 days to pick the jury. And then boom. Can you guys believe it? We're going to have Donna's trial. And this might be the first case that I can think of. I mean, maybe but like I followed this from when she got arrested till the trial. We saw her arrest video, we saw all her appearances, and then we're going to see her trial. It's pretty cool. I mean, I all the other cases I've not covered. I think the whole thing. I don't know if pretty cool is the right way to say it, but it's from the beginning, from her arrest as she tried to flee the country to the actual trial. Um, it seems like such a long time ago, but it's yeah, shit is getting real. Like we're getting there. And this trial is going to be something. Wendy's going to testify. Will there be new stuff from Wendy? Jeff is going to do. Lacoste is going to do awesome like he always does. Tato is going to be there. Charlie is being called as a witness. I don't even know if we're all processing this. Charlie's getting called as a witness. They already have the transportation order in, flying his ass or taking him from South Dakota. Katie Magbanua is getting called as a witness. This trial is going to be. I mean, Katie Magbanua testified for the first time during Charlie, and her proffers were like pulling teeth. But when she testified, she said some stuff. She said about the washing of the money. So maybe we'll get more from Katie in this trial. Who knows? So yeah, all right. So I think what I'm going to do is Sunday at around 3 Eastern, do the next episode, which will likely be the first witness. I think, if I could be wrong, James Rieger, the neighbor. Actually, I could check. Let's see. James Rieger, the sweetest neighbor, nicest man, came out and saw. Um, yep. Am I saying Rieger? Geiger, James Geiger. So James Geiger, what a sweet old man James Geiger was during all the trials. He was so great. Listening to his 911 call where he's like imploring them to get there quick, and they're not even really paying attention. So James Geiger. And then we got the forensic specialist, and then we don't have to watch any of this stuff. And then the medical examiner, and then Pat Sanford. Um, yeah, James is awesome. What a great neighbor. Uh, but yeah, I think that's it. So, right, Geiger like the counter. Geiger. I don't know why I was saying Rieger. Geiger. I should have known that. All right, guys, that's it. I'm sending you over to Publicly Buzz. If you missed Sarah Boone's hearing today, which was infuriating, take your blood pressure meds. He's going to do a rewatch of the hearing that happened yesterday. Sarah Boone, where she is just a pain in the ass as always. But he's going to watch it, and I highly recommend you check it out. If you're following the Sarah Boone case, he's going to do a rewatch. Thank you, mods. I know this is like your fifth trial that you've covered today. So thank you, mods. Thank you, everyone, for all the support. Thank you for the super chats and the buy me coffees and the Venmos. You guys are so supportive, and I really, at the bottom, from the bottom of my heart, I really, really appreciate it. And hopefully I can see you on Sunday. So thank you all so much, and I'll catch you on the next one. Let me make sure this portal is set up. Yeah, it should be.